Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Police seized 1,200 pounds of ganja in Helshire, St. Catherine. Funds recovered in police military operation in St. James. And later takes unbeatable 2-0 lead in 3-match ODI series against the West Indies. I'm Krista Campbell and here are the details. The St. Catherine South Police seized hundreds of pounds of ganja in Helshire yesterday. As you hear in this report from O'Shane Masters, the ganja was seized as cops went on the hunt for wanted men.
A search for wanted men in the St. Catherine South Police Division on Tuesday ended with some success for the police. They did not find the men, but they seized a large quantity of ganja in the Helshire community. According to Superintendent of Police in the division, Hopton Nicholson, the ganja has an estimated weight of 1,200 pounds.
Searching for some of these wanted men and persons of interest, we searched over 10 premises, 5 of which are unfinished. And while going through and searching, we recovered some compressed ganja. It appears that it's being prepared for export in the illicit guns for drugs trade.
Superintendent Nicholson says one man was arrested in connection with the seizure. In the meantime, he says the police will continue their investigation. Now, the joint police-military team was conducting operations in Helshire in an attempt to rid the once quiet St. Catherine South community of criminal elements who have migrated to the area. Superintendent Nicholson says that community seems to be a safe haven for criminals who are seeking to elude the police. He's again making this appeal to residents.
Whenever you see strange persons in your community, please call the police so we can pursue them, we can question them and find out who they are. Today we can say the operation was a success and we'll continue to pursue wanted persons, and wherever we get information, we will go all across the St. Catherine South Police Division.
Since the start of the year, there have been 14 murders and 15 shooting incidents in the St. Catherine South Police Division, a 55.6% and a 50% increase, respectively. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And 3 firearms and a quantity of ammunition were seized by a joint police-military team during an operation in Salt Springs, St. James this morning. Included in the seizure was an M16 rifle with a magazine containing 65.56 rounds of ammunition. A man was fatally shot during confrontation with the security forces in the incident. The deceased has been identified as Tevin Stewart, otherwise called Pete, said to be a top-tier member of the G-City gang. The leader of the gang is currently before the court on a gun-related charge. The Westmoreland police are investigating the circumstances which led to the killing of a man in the parish this morning. It's understood that the deceased took his wife and child to the Grange Hill Basic School. A news team was informed that a gunman acted as if he was repairing his bicycle before he attacked. The man was shot in his eye, then shot 5 more times. The gunman escaped. We'll have more on this story in subsequent newscasts. Several major roads in Spanish Town, St. Catherine are expected to receive some well-needed attention. That's according to the National Works Agency, following concerns raised by stakeholders in the business community in the Old Capital. Codian Barrett reports.
Spanish Town, an old capital plagued with old infrastructure threatening its economy. President of the St. Catherine Chamber of Commerce, Dennis Robotham, laments the poor state of the town.
The whole town is in a deplorable condition. We seem not to get anything done economically. I mean, the buildings, the old square is still in a deplorable condition, needs to be upgraded. We seem to be just putting file 13 and dumped and not being looked at in any regard.
Poor roads and inadequate drains continue to impact the business sector.
The entire major corridors in Spanish Town and St. Catherine is in atrocious condition. It needs to be looked at. Name the areas in the old capital. I mean, it seems as if nobody is in charge of this particular area where roads are concerned.
Ms. Mowat, who operates a restaurant, says she has been losing customers because of the running water, which has a stench in front of her establishment.
Because they are saying that this water, they don't know what kind of water it is for them to walk over it to come into my business place. And when the rain falls, it floods right up like it wants to go into my business place. What hurts me so bad, I'm a taxpayer. I am a taxpayer, and come next month, I have to go in and pay my tax. And if I owe them, they call me. So for somebody who's a taxpayer and something like this is happening to them, they're going to upset about it. And I'm very much upset about the condition.
The National Works Agency says the town will be among those slated to benefit from a road maintenance program. However, a timeline for when work will begin was not disclosed.
The responsibility for the roads is really shared between the NWA and the municipal corporation. From our standpoint, we are seeking to identify funding to treat with some of those roads. In the interim, we are actually now putting together a program to deal with some routine maintenance activities to include patching, and I'm sure the township will receive some attention where this is concerned.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
The government says 42 Jamaicans who are pursuing tertiary studies in Ukraine can leave the country through Germany without a visa amid growing fears of a Russian invasion. This comes as some students in Ukraine complained that the Jamaican government has left them on their own. The matter was raised at this morning's post-cabinet media briefing. More in this report. Conflict in Ukraine has left 147 schools closed in the western part of the country as tension with Russia intensifies. Some schools are in ruins, while others remain closed because of safety concerns. There is mounting unease among several Jamaican students pursuing tertiary studies in Ukraine who are without the relevant visas required to leave on short notice. The students have expressed disappointment in what they described as being left on their own by the Jamaican government to fend for themselves. The matter was put to Minister with Responsibility for Information, Robert Morgan, at a post-cabinet media briefing this morning.
Through the efforts of the ministry, we have been working with our overseas services in Berlin to try and make contact with as many of them as possible. The fact of the matter is, Jamaica, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was not aware of the quantity, and what we have had to be doing is finding out from other students in Ukraine to help us identify some of the other students who are there, because many of them never registered with any of our consulates or embassies.
The Foreign Affairs Ministry says it has advised the 42 Jamaican students studying in Ukraine to make preparations that would ensure their safe departure from the Eastern European country in the event they have to leave.
The good news is that they don't need a visa to transit through Germany to come to Jamaica. And I think if you're transiting and you're leaving within 24 hours, you do not need a visa. So there is a good opportunity for them to exit Ukraine when the need arises and reach Jamaica safely or reach another third country.
Mr. Morgan added that despite the challenges, the government is working to ensure the welfare of the students is not compromised.
Part of the challenge that the students may be having is not related to Jamaica's actions or inactions, but related to their status as students within the Ukraine. And we've been trying to work with our Ukrainian partners to see how we can come to some arrangement where if the students do leave, their studies are not disrupted or halted. So there have been tremendous efforts by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs through the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith to work with the students.
It's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams, has responded to reports of garbage pileup at the Papine Market in St. Andrew. He says while there are issues at the market, garbage pileup is not one of them. Codian Barrett has that story.
Following a newspaper article with images of garbage in the Papine Market, Kingston's Mayor Delroy Williams is speaking out. At the recent meeting of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, he said his team visited the market and there was no garbage pileup.
The first thing I would like to say is that the photo is a photo of inside the garbage bay. We expect garbage to be inside a garbage bay. We expect that. The garbage bay was renovated recently, a few months now, in order to encourage garbage storage in the bay.
According to Mr. Williams, the market was renovated to prevent people from throwing garbage in the facility. He says it is well kept and provisions are made for vendors.
It is the first market, at least minimum in my time, where the roof was destroyed by fire and repaired within no more than 18 months. We also funded the setting up of an area within the Papine market for vendors to eat and have their lunch. Go there, it is there.
While garbage pileup was not the case at the Papine market, he admits it is an issue in other markets within the municipality.
I'm not going to hide from it. It's something that we have been trying to address, that we have been meeting with the Minister of Local Government, meeting with the NSWMA, to come up with a system that is going to give us 100%, 90 to 100% success. I have already proposed one option to the Minister of Local Government. So if he's hearing me, he will know that it is true.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
7 more people have died from COVID-19 in Jamaica, increasing the death toll to 2,706. Meanwhile, the island's COVID positivity rate has increased to 15.6%. This as 87 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours from 792 test samples. The overall case count is now 126,437. According to the Health Ministry, 367 people are now in hospital with the virus. 43 of the patients are severely ill, while 10 are critically ill. There are now 3,168 active COVID-19 cases on the island. At the same time, 159 more people have recovered from the virus, pushing the recovery count to 71,977. And it's now time for the Business Minute.
Jamaica's third licensed telecommunications provider, Rock Connect, is to receive market support from the International Finance Corporation, which is the private sector arm of the World Bank Group. The agreement is to help support the build-out of Rock Connect's network, which is to provide broadband service locally. Executive Chairman of Rock Connect, Bruce Bowen, characterizes the partnership as a strong endorsement of Rock Connect's mission to increase internet penetration in Jamaica. Japanese motor industry giant Toyota saw its profits fall by 21% for the last 3 months of 2021. The company said that its third quarter operating profit came in at 784.4 billion yen. The world's biggest selling car maker also cut its annual production target by 500,000 vehicles to 8.5 million. It comes as manufacturers around the world are struggling to find enough microprocessors for their products. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Codian Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
We look at throat cancer.
The diagnosis of throat cancer begins with a visit to your doctor, who then takes a thorough history from you to find out risk factors, find out the things like the duration of your sore throat and the progression thereof. That doctor also does a thorough examination of the throat, looking for asymmetry of the tonsils, any masses that look obviously red and bleeds easily on contact. They examine the neck for lymph nodes, and then they may want to do investigations such as biopsies and scans.
And now for today's healthy living tip. If you smoke, quit. Drink alcohol only in moderation. Choose a healthy diet full of fruits and vegetables, and protect yourself from HPV.
And we go now to Sandy Williams, who has the top regional and international stories.
In regional news, in Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley says her government is simply doing the right thing in amending the 55-year-old Barbados Constitution to change the qualifications for membership in both houses of Parliament. She told legislators on Tuesday that her ruling Barbados Labour Party, BLP, which won all 30 seats in the January 19 general election, was correcting a wrong by reducing the age for eligibility to sit in Parliament from 21 to 18 and giving a voice to the opposition by allowing them to recommend appointments to the Senate even when they hold no seats in the House of Assembly. Motley said the importance of the Constitution reflecting the reality of society must be a tool of empowerment for the people. On the international scene, Pfizer is working to get its COVID fighting pill used in more people. Paxlovid is currently authorized to treat COVID-19 in high-risk people 12 years and older. Pfizer is planning to study the drug in children aged 6 to 18 starting sometime this quarter. The pharmaceutical giant is also awaiting full approval from the Food and Drug Administration on the pill for the group it is currently authorized to treat. The company says it expects that decision in the second half of this year. Pfizer's chief scientific officer says the company is also working on a next-generation pill to help treat COVID. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
We head to a quick break now, but don't go away. Renardo Brown is standing by with your midday sports report.
Welcome back. It's now time for your midday sports. Now, the West Indies suffered their 11th straight one-day international series defeat to India after going down by 44 runs in the second of 3 games in Ahmedabad this morning. Set 238 runs to win, the Caribbean side fell for 193 in 46 overs. Shamar Brooks top scored with 44, while Akil Hussain made 34. This against Pradesh Krishna 4 for 12. Now, earlier, fourth wicket partnership of 90 between KL Rahul 49 and Surya Kumar Yadav 64 rescued India from 43 for 3. Rohit Sharma 5, Rishabh Pant 18 and Virat Kohli 18 all fell inside 12 overs to put the Windies on top. However, Yadav with a top score and 29 and 24 from Deepak Huda and Washington Sundar respectively took India across the 200-run mark. Jamaican Odin Smith, who replaced the injured Karen Pollard, ended with 2 for 29, while Azari Joseph had 2 for 36. Kemar Roach, Fabian Allen, Akil Hussain, and Jason Holder all had a wicket each. And at Sportstown, the Jamaica Scorpions were 83 for 3 after lunch on day 1 of their opening regional 4-day game against the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium. The Scorpions lost debutant Leroy Lugg early for 1 before captain John Campbell and vice-captain Jermaine Blackwood took them to lunch at 74 for 1. On the resumption, the Scorpions lost Campbell for 25 and Blackwood for 44. In football, leaders Manchester City could move 12 points clear of Liverpool, having played 2 games more, should they get the better of the unpredictable Brentford at the Etihad Stadium today at 2:45. City are currently on 57 points, with Liverpool, who have played a game less, on 48. Brentford will once again rely on striker Ivan Toney, who has scored 6 Premier League goals this season, twice as many as any other Brentford player. Toney could also become the first player to score in 3 consecutive top-flight matches for the Bees since Len Townsend in 1946. In the other games today, at 2:45, Norwich City entertains Crystal Palace, while Tottenham are at home to Southampton. At 3 p.m., Aston Villa, team of reggae boy Leon Bailey, will welcome Leeds United. And finally, some basketball news. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 44 points as the Milwaukee Bucks extended their winning run to 4 games by beating the Los Angeles Lakers 131-116. LeBron James managed 27 points and 8 assists for the Lakers, who lost for the 5th time in 7 games. Elsewhere, Devin Booker scored a game-high 35 points as the Phoenix Suns beat the Philadelphia 76ers 114-109. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown each scored 22 points as the Boston Celtics handed the struggling Brooklyn Nets their 9th consecutive loss with a 126-91 rout. Also on Tuesday, the Atlanta Hawks regrouped after back-to-back defeats to beat the Indiana Pacers 113-112, while the Memphis Grizzlies eased past the Los Angeles Clippers with a 135-109 success. The New Orleans Pelicans overcame the Houston Rockets 110-97. The Dallas Mavericks beat the Detroit Pistons 116-86. And Nikola Jokic was one of 4 Denver Nuggets players to hit 20 points in their 132-115 win over the New York Knicks. The Minnesota Timberwolves secured a 134-114 away win at Sacramento Kings. And the Orlando Magic were also successful on the road, beating the Portland Trail Blazers 113-95. And that's it for your Midday Sports Report. Christelle, back to you.
Thanks, Renardo. Bad news there for local cricket lovers, the Windies versus India match.
Yeah, 11 straight defeat. I think we've only beaten India once in a bilateral ODI series. Tough. We go again on Friday. Hopefully, we can win that game and take some momentum into the 3 T20s.
All right, looking forward to that. All right, that's the Midday News. I'm Krista Campbell. Join us again at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, have a good afternoon.